Stay Doomed is part of the IWEP Podcast Network.
Good evening, grave robbers, and welcome back to the television graveyard. We are your TV necromancers, Laura Prince and Noah Houlihan. We have come here tonight to examine the spirits of past television shows, to find out which ones could be resurrected, should be resurrected, and which ones should stay doomed. This is a podcast in which we will analyze the history, the hype, and the aftermath of shows that ran only one season or only one episode. With me, as always, is TV's Noah Houlihan.
Nothing is only a game.
We are doing Cybermania 94.
Yes, since we created this show, I've wanted to do an award show. An award show that ran only one time.
Yes.
And we couldn't
But that we could find the actual one time it ran.
Yeah, we couldn't find a real good one for a while. I wanted to do the Comedy Central Awards. I wanted to do the Man Awards that Spike TV did. And there was a couple other ones I wanted to do that turned out did happen more than once, like the VH1 You Pick Awards.
Yeah.
So I had pretty much given up on my dreams until we watched Botchamania.
Yeah, thank you to Botchamania for this.
Who brought up the existence of Cybermania 94, the ultimate video game award show.
Yes, this was the first video game award show.
Yes.
And this aired on Saturday, November 5th, 1994.
1994. So, before we jump into this, let's pour one out.
Okay, so what is more 90s than Snapple iced tea?
That makes sense.
So I made a cocktail with Snapple iced tea and 99 peaches.
Okay. Does it have a name?
I'm gonna call it the Cyber Story.
The Cyber Story. How is it?
It mostly tastes like Snapple. I feel like the peach is gonna show up at the bottom.
That makes sense. I went real simple, and I went with Coke and 99 bananas, and I call it, it's a banana. What could it cost? $5? That'll make sense later.
Yes, so I wanted to try to figure out how to make like fake Zima.
Oh my god.
But I ran out of time to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, Zima was like the original like wine cooler. It was like a weird clear alcoholic beverage.
Yeah, it was really more like the original Smirnoff Ice.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be kind of like the elevated way to drink a beer.
Yeah.
It got a bad rap from men for being a girly drink. Mm-hmm. I actually had a friend whose frat nickname was Zima.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's funny.
Long after Zimas had stopped being sold, so they had to go for a deep cut reference to insult my friend.
Yeah, for real.
So the intro to this looks a lot like Bill Nye the Science Guy, which did come first.
Okay.
I looked it up.
It is a lot of Jonathan Taylor Thomas, who you might know.
It's a lot, period.
Well, yeah, first off, it is a lot. But it is a lot of Jonathan Taylor Thomas, who you might know from Home Improvement, or Huck and Finn, or the voice of young Simba in The Lion King, in an extreme close-up, using some 90s slang.
Yes.
Just him going,
The ultimate gamer award. Yes. What are you waiting for? Cool. Very cool. Whoa. Awesome. Cool movie. Wow. Dare to duel the dragon and win.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas was 13 when this was done.
that makes sense.
And it shows.
Yeah, he's a child.
He's pretty decent for being a 13-year-old hosting. And this was in the early to mid 90s when we kind of were in still the Nickelodeon star era, not the super polished Disney star era.
Yeah.
So child stars in the 90s were a little rougher around the edges before we get into and when I say the Disney star, really the Nickelodeon stars turned into this too, in the iCarly, Victorious, the Dan Schneider era, if you will.
This is a time where there are very few shows where the kid is the main character.
Yes, and he's not the main character in his show either.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, the child stars come from sitcoms where they are not the focal point.
Yes.
Like, even in things like, if we're going way back, Leave It to Beaver, like, it was about the family, even though it was named after the beaver.
Yeah, I think the sole outlier in this of network where the child is the lead would be Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
I think that would be the sole outlier of that. Mm-hmm. Until we start getting into, like, All That, which I believe is airing at this point.
Right, but I would not say that the kids on All That are anywhere near the celebrity as like a Jonathan Taylor Thomas, who also was like a huge standout.
Yeah, and he's coming off being the voice of young Simba. Like, that's that year. So, we get a Miramar production short of The Gate to the Mind's Eye, which switches back and forth between being a little CGI short and VR that looks like the Regal movie theater opening.
Yes.
Do you remember that? Like, I think AMC later did one, but I always think about it as being a Regal thing.
The roller coaster?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
And how you and your dopey teenage friends would hands up and then like sway to it.
Yeah.
And then like big fake scream when the popcorn pops.
Yeah.
Because you're obnoxious and you're 15.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like that. It's being filmed in Universal Studios Hollywood.
Yes, not Florida.
Which I think partially is because they couldn't... One, it's easier to get people to come to California.
Yeah, because they're already there.
Two, they probably didn't want to film in Nickelodeon Studios.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Because it would have made it look too childish. Mm-hmm. So Jonathan Taylor Thomas is co-hosting with Leslie Nielsen.
Yes, from Naked Gun fame. I think we'd also just be coming off Surf Ninjas in 1994, if my memory serves.
I believe Surf Ninjas is 93. Okay. So I think you're right. Surf Ninjas is one of like 2 movies I saw in theaters with my dad.
Yeah.
Because my dad was not a big movie theater person. Mm-hmm. So he's having a good time in 93, 94. This is Naked Gun 33 and a half. This is right before Dracula Dead and Loving It. Right. So he's in a lot of little things. He's in Bad Golf My Way.
Is this right after Surf Ninjas, like I thought?
Surf Ninjas is in 1993, so yes.
Okay, so the reason I bring that up is Leslie Nielsen plays the bad guy in a film called Surf Ninjas. And part of that was like a magical Game Gear.
Yes.
So I wanted to bring that.
I had a Game Gear, and I was super hyped that I had a Game Gear just like the Surf Ninjas.
Yeah.
Because my parents thought a Game Boy was a waste of money because it didn't have color.
It didn't have color.
So Game Gear was clearly the better system.
It was a waste of batteries because it took 6 AA's.
No, my parents got me an AC adapter.
Oh, I got an AC adapter too because of that.
If I was home, I had to use the AC adapter.
Yeah.
Even if I had to be in a slightly less comfortable position to be near an outlet.
Oh, yeah.
Like that
the cord was not long enough.
No. It's amazing the things you remember.
Oh, yeah. I played a lot of Game Gear.
I, like, little kid MacGyvered an extension cord. Mm-hmm. And my mom comes out and I have, like, a 10-foot extension cord because I needed an extra, like, 8 inches.
Of course.
To get to where I wanted to lay in my room. And the extension cord was an outside extension cord, so it was filthy, and my mom was furious.
Well, the point I'm trying to make is this is me desperately trying to explain single good reason why old man Leslie Nielsen is going to be the host of the Video Game Awards. I want to say Leslie Nielsen is a pro.
Yes.
Because
he's super game.
The first thing that happens is they walk out, Jonathan Taylor Thomas stands in the wrong place, and Leslie Nielsen just kind of grabs him and slightly moves him into camera.
Yes.
And I was like, that's a pro. Leslie Nielsen's awesome.
Without embarrassing him.
So I was like, all right, cool. Let's see what this show's going to be. And the first guest star we get is Hillary Clinton, sort of.
It's a impersonator as Hail to the Chief plays. And she, like, says something about, like, yay, computers.
Yes.
And then... it's not plugged in. Leslie Nielsen plugs it in and blows up the computer.
And the computer explodes.
And she has the cartoon explosion in her face look.
Yes.
Which is a cool moment of like, oh, that was a quick effect. That's neat.
Yeah, if you look really close, you can see her, like, quickly wipe her face.
Yeah.
And put on, like, the dirt.
But it's a good, quick effect.
They do it really quickly.
And then Neilsen goes, I sure hope she has health insurance. And the next 3 minutes of the broadcast are blurred out by stage smoke.
Yes. The health insurance bit, don't get it anymore. It's 1994.
And I feel like a lot of the target audience for this wouldn't get it.
You bring up the biggest question, which is, who is the target audience for this? Because the first thing we establish is computers can explode and kill you.
Because at this point in the show, I think it was supposed to be teenagers. I will change my mind on this 3 or 4 times.
Yes. We're then told we can still vote, which unfortunately I found out, I did some research, not true. We were not able to vote in these awards still.
It said previously recorded on the thing.
Yeah. But you could vote via a 900 number.
Or Prodigy Services
Prodigy.
Network Online.
And I was like, I hadn't heard those words in a while.
Oh, and sidebar. So I just want to put a quick content warning on this. If you suffer from seizures or epilepsy, please do not watch this.
Oh, yes.
There's moments where I'm like, oh, like, I do not suffer from either of those conditions. And there's a few moments where I was like, I can't.
Yeah, I can't look at this anymore.
So that's just a quick, be careful with this. It's actually really a lot.
Yeah, and then we then get explained that we're going to see throughout the show these little specials called cyber stories.
Tonight, we'll also be taking a look at the future of gaming and interactive entertainment through some remarkable video packages called cyber stories.
Which they will never use that term again.
No. And I want to point out, these all look like if you and I were trying to make a parody of something from the 1990s.
Yes.
Like, if we made one of these today, using the same styles, our audience would be like, ha ha ha, very funny. This is so over the top.
Yeah.
A lot of Dutch angles, a lot of, like, radical lighting.
Yes. I'm going to steal a joke from a College Humor video, because there's a College Humor video where they watched this, and it was the perfect quote to explain what this was. I don't remember the 90s being this 90s.
Yo.
I was like, yeah. Like, the camera is, like, always crooked and zooming in.
Now, I know I told you if you're epileptic, don't watch this. However, if you were throwing a 90s theme party, this is what you want in the background.
Oh, yeah.
This is 100% what you want, like, just kind of playing that you're not paying attention to.
Yeah.
Because the visuals are so 90s that this is kind of perfect background fodder.
Unbelievably 90s. And what this first cyber story is a guy who looks like Randall from Clerks, but is not Randall from Clerks, in a warehouse or a boxing ring.
There's a basketball hoop.
Oh, it's a basketball hoop.
Because they project video games onto the backboard.
Yes. Basically, explaining what video games are.
Nothing is only a game. Ask anyone. The essence of any great game, tennis, chess, Sonic, anything, is the ability to lose yourself in it. Until there's only you in the game, and you're the one in charge. Your moves, your decisions will make the difference. Do it right, you're the hero. Do it wrong. Either way, it's your game. That's what this program is about. There's a whole universe of interactive media available today that'll let you do anything from learning French to piloting a starship.
I have a note that you say, oh, they're still trying to sell the audience on video games.
On video games.
So then now we are wondering who the target audience for this is again, because now I'm thinking, is this supposed to be something you watch with the whole family of trying to bring the parents in?
Yeah, because, like, what they're saying is stuff like, video games are unique experiences. We get to come over, we can overcome different challenges. We can beat anyone and do anything. It's like, I'm at an award show for this.
Yeah.
I know what this is. That would be weird for me to be like, what are video games?
My thought is that they were trying to... Teenagers might have been like, I want to watch the video game awards. Mm-hmm. But this is back when you still maybe only had 2 or 3 TVs tops in a household. We had 3 TVs in my household, and that was a lot.
So my other theory is this aired originally on a Saturday,
Yes.
right? So this would have aired after WCW Saturday Night,
Okay.
which was their most popular show. So chances are there would be a lot of people who just left the TV on after WCW Saturday Night. So they were trying to convince those people, like, hey, you might not know what a video game is, but these things are cool.
Yeah.
Which I thought was an interesting strategy.
Yeah, so we actually get our first award being presented. And it's presented
Yes.
by Matthew Perry and Hilary Swank from The Next Karate Kid.
Hilary Swank is here.
And this is the most famous duo we're gonna get.
Yes.
And that's mostly because Hilary Swank is retroactively famous.
Yes.
So we get the best action adventure games, and the nominees are...
All right, I have them all here.
I do too.
Okay. First off, listener, this is the best action game. Think how many nominees there should be. The nominees are Doom. That's a classic. All right, cool. Mega Race. I kind of remember Mega Race. Okay, all right. Return to Zork. The remake of the text adventure game.
Yes.
Okay. Jump Raven. What? Critical Path,
Critical
Path.
which is a full motion video game.
Street Fighter 2. Because fighting game as a genre got tied into action game. Tomcat Alley. And then Super Metroid.
Yes.
One of the greatest games of all time.
Yeah.
Loses to Doom.
Yes.
Unbelievable. So the things I want to say about this is, one, what are half these games?
Yeah.
Like, I watched this, I was like, I want to go do a stream where I play all of these games and be like, yeah, let's see if Tomcat Alley and Jump Raven are almost as good as Super Metroid. Two, they don't have envelopes because it's the future.
Yeah, they have like little like Palm Pilot.
It's like a
things
Palm Pilot, but it's huge.
that some of the presenters were not taught how to use.
No. And then the people receiving the award, no speech. It's just
Under 30
thanks.
seconds.
Thank you so much for this. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of everybody at id Software, we'd like to thank the Academy for this award. We're honored. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Because, like, if you make video games
Especially if you were making video games in the 90s.
in 1994, you weren't known for your public speaking skills. I'm not known for my public speaking skills because I say speeching.
Yes, this was when some of the stereotypes were a little closer to true.
Right.
When you didn't really need to be a showman to make video games.
Right.
Now we kind of have more dynamic personalities coming into these things.
Yeah.
Like, even what we watched the trailer for Choo Choo Charlie yesterday.
Yes.
And it's one guy, but he clearly had to, like, learn to, present the game. Because he has to sell the game now in a way that devs didn't have to do in the 90s.
Well, nowadays you also have, like, the game developer celebrities. You have Kojima. You have Miyamoto. Excuse me, I can't talk today. You have Cliffy B. You have Gabe Newell. Like,
Yes.
those are names in this sphere that people just know. Like, they're not quite household names.
Yeah.
But, like, there is an element of when Death Stranding wins an award, you can think to yourself, good for Kojima. Not in 1994. Exactly.
I totally agree. Plus, now we have more game-adjacent celebrities.
Yeah.
So even if if Kojima doesn't want to present, he can just, shove Norman Reedus out there.
Yes.
For Cyberpunk. Or Cyberpunk?
Yeah, Cyberpunk when we had Keanu Reeves saying you're beautiful.
Yeah, for some reason, Cyberpunk 2077. We were talking about Cybermania.
You thought you had just conflated that name?
I did. So then we get the first cutaway to different gaming meccas. So different, like, big arcades. So we're at Virtual Land in the Luxor Hotel in Las Vegas with Sean Alex Thompson.
Yeah. No idea who this gentleman is.
Well, first, he doesn't realize that JTT is thrown to him.
Yes.
So we get one of those great, awkward stares into the camera.
You're live, pal.
He calls the gamers cyberpunks.
Yeah. This shows that they have no idea what they're supposed to be doing.
Oh, this part's so funny to me.
Because we have this guy who is trying to interview people playing arcade games. So everyone he's talking to has their back to the camera and is trying to win a video game.
Yes, he asks a child called Damien about doing well in Mortal Kombat, and the distraction visibly costs Damien the game.
Yeah, you watch him die.
And he's talking to a couple of kids playing NBA Jam, and one of them has a tip sheet sitting on the cabinet.
Yeah.
You remember that? Remember when you used to like have a little tip sheet on the cabinet?
And he tries to explain like how to get codes in NBA Jam, because it was one of those games where kind of like Blitz.
Yeah.
Where you could like during the load screen hit a bunch of buttons and all of a sudden their heads are real big.
Yeah, or like you could unlock certain characters.
Bill and Hillary Clinton.
Sean also accosts a young man named Daniel who's trying to play Super Street Fighter.
Yes.
And the kid just ignores him.
Yes.
Because he saw what happened to Damien.
Yeah, he's not losing on TV.
And so then Sean gives a tip on how to play as Akuma, but he goes through it so fast.
Oh, we got a little tip just in here. Oh, this works perfectly because it's another one, Street Fighter 2. What's your name?
Daniel.
Daniel, okay, an exclusive for Cybermaniacs on Super Street Fighter 2, the arcade game. If you want to play Akuma, make sure your machine is on free select speed, choose your speed, highlight Rue, count to 5, move to T-Hawk, count to 5, move to Kite, and we're out of there, I think. We got
my guess is the idea was, what do gamers like? And I think they looked through like a GamePro magazine.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, they like hints on how to play games and like cheat codes. Mm-hmm. So this guy who has no idea what Street Fighter is, who Akuma is, and what this code entails, rattles off this insane code with no visual context. Like, back in the day, I used to watch these videos for WrestleMania, the arcade game.
Yeah.
And, like, The Undertaker would pop up and be like,
I have one more bonus mayhem move. The Demon Dizzy. Hit down, away, and kick. Rest in peace.
And when they would do that, they would show it on the screen.
Yes.
And show the button prompts. They didn't have him screaming over an arcade.
Yes.
I also want to point out that this Sean Alex Thompson guy refers to the gamers as these people at one point.
Oh, he also calls them cyberpunks.
Cyberpunk I can get away with, but he's something like, oh, you know how these people are.
Jason, you have a tip sheet or something? Let me see that, what you've got there. This guy's got these people take this very seriously.
That kind of slipping into, this isn't going well. Video game nerds are someone you can make fun of. It's an easy joke, so I'll just do that. Mm-hmm. You can't do that here, dude. You're in the wrong spot for this. It's one of those things where, like, as a comedian that does genre-based comedy,
yeah,
you gotta know that, like, the crap that your audience puts up with, and that they are not gonna find it funny.
Yes.
I've probably told this story before, but when I performed at the Lego convention, I did a bunch of material that bombed about Legos. And I was making all these jokes about Legos, and I actually said at one point, if you guys don't start laughing, I'm going to stop doing jokes about Legos. And I got applause. So I started doing jokes about other things, and then I got off stage, and someone came up to me and was like, "You're really brave to get up there," which is how you say you did terribly in comedy.
Yeah, isn't that like an old Amy Schumer bit,
It's
too?
like, "Oh, you're brave."
So brave.
It's like, I wasn't going for brave. I was going for funny. And what he then said to me was, it was like nails on a chalkboard hearing you say the word Legos. It's Lego. And usually when I tell that story to people, they're like, wow, what a jerk. It's like, no, that's the thing they put up with all the time. And then they're at the place where they shouldn't have to put up with that.
Yeah, like you came into their house.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, this again? It's kind of like when a comedian comes into Philly and wants to make jokes about throwing snowballs at Santa.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we know. We were here for this.
Yes.
So, like, you can't make these people, these nerds, joke here. That's who's supposed to be here.
So we also now find out the award nominees for Best Overall Game, which to me kind of spoils the other awards.
You'd think.
Because I would think if you were nominated for Best Overall, you would win your category.
Right.
Unless another one was nominated in the same category. So we have Doom, Mortal Kombat, Myst, NBA Jam, and Street Fighter 2. Now, Street Fighter 2 lost to Doom already at this point.
Yes, we've already seen that happen once. Now, I will say that, at least for this category, Best Overall Game, these are all classics. It's not like we have a Raven Jump in here as Best Overall Game.
Yeah.
And two, since voting is open still, you can kind of understand it's like you just saw Doom lose to Street Fighter 2. If you want Street Fighter 2 to win...
Hashtag justice for Street Fighter 2.
You have to vote now. You mean pound signed?
Pound sign justice for Street Fighter 2.
This is 1994.
Yeah.
So, we then get an IBM commercial, because the commercials are in this.
Yeah, and I get to relive the power and the glory of running to get a snack during the commercial. Because I don't actually watch any of the commercials on this round.
Really? Because we see this IBM commercial with Paul Reiser, excuse me, every time we go to commercial.
We do.
Then have another cyber story that they don't call a cyber story, called Then and Now.
Yes. And it shows... Well, first, Leslie Nielsen does a bit where he's talking, and there's just a guy in a blue balloon behind him.
Oh, that's what I meant by man in balloon.
Yes.
I didn't understand what that note meant, so I skipped over it. Yeah, they do these bits, because I think the theme of the show is chaos.
Yes.
Is like anything can happen. So anytime Leslie Nielsen comes out and talks, shenanigans happen behind him.
Yeah.
And there's just a man in a blue balloon, like, jumping around. And Leslie Nielsen gets upset and pops it. And that's kind of the bit.
Yeah.
And then we throw to Then and Now, which is supposed to be, like, a history of video games.
Yeah, it opens in a shot of Pong that has, that gets an applause break.
Yeah.
People are like, yo, it's Pong!
It almost felt like an in memorial section. Like, oh, I remember Pong. Pong served us well.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Yar's Revenge. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any other notes about the Then and Now feature.
Yeah, it's just a strange thing to see where in 2022 we're watching them being like, and now the games of today, 1994, we have Super Mario Brothers.
So then, Jonathan Taylor Thomas introduces Mr. My Friend Jeff Leibowitz, who introduces cyberspace, talks about the Cybermania chat room, how to vote with the 900 numbers, and someone on stage's voice cracks, and it's not the 13-year-old.
Nope.
If you're not a Prodigy member, you can still interact with us by voting with the 900 numbers you've seen on your screen. I'll keep you up to date throughout the evening on voting on the Cybermania Central backstage.
Jeff Leibowitz goes through puberty.
Yeah. Jonathan Taylor Taylor Thomas, is still a professional and does not laugh in this man's face.
Yeah.
Which I probably would have. So then we get the best CD-ROM game.
Yes. This to me is so confusing because you're going from sorting the games by genre to sorting the games by medium.
Platform, yeah.
Yeah, which is so weird to just be like, this is a great action game, but it was also on a disc, so we'll separate it. Very strange.
And this is presented by Lark Voorhees, better known as Lisa Turtle from Saved by the Bell.
Yes. And the nominees are Myst.
I bet that wins.
You know, the game that's up for best game overall. The Seventh Guest. Mega Race. Return to Zork. And Escape from Cyber City. And the winner is The Seventh Guest.
Oh my god!
The Seventh Guest wins out of nowhere. And I actually have a special relationship with that game.
Okay.
Because my crush in 6th grade, Ashley, she had The Seventh Guest.
Shout out to Ashley, I'm going to fight you.
And all I wanted to do was play this game because it sounded so cool. And she would play it and then come and talk to me about it. She's like, yeah, I'm trying to figure out this puzzle. There's this, and this. And then without seeing the game, I was trying to solve the puzzles. And then I finally got to go over her house, and she wasn't allowed to play it anymore because it gave her nightmares.
Oh, no.
So I put a lot of work into that relationship to not get to play The Seventh Guest. And there's also a sequel to it called The 11th Hour. If you'd like to see me stream that on Twitch, let me know. And fulfill my childhood fantasy. But it's very strange to see Myst. Because first off, it's Myst.
Right?
Go down to The Seventh Guest in this.
Then we get our first cutaway to child prodigy Michael Carney fighting Santa Barbara Mayor Hal Conklin in a game of Sim City.
Yes. Couple things I want to say about this.
I got a big one, so let's see what you say first.
First off, this is when I realized, oh my god, no one thought about how to capture footage.
Yeah.
Because throughout this entire show,
we see none of their
seeing gameplay footage is a rarity. We see it for the nominees, because I'm guessing they got it from the company that produced the game. But, the best we see here is a shot of a computer monitor playing Sim City. It's you really probably should have thought of this if this was going to be one of your big things you were doing.
Yes.
Two.
Okay.
Child prodigy Michael. Mm-hmm. I had actually been familiar with this kid before because he appeared on Oprah.
Makes sense.
And I remember him saying well, you're such a genius. He graduates college at 10?
Yeah.
At a ridiculous, it might be 12, but it's a ridiculously young age. He graduates college. He's the youngest person to ever graduate college. And they ask him, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he says, a game show host. They did actually make a pilot with him as a game show host that doesn't exist anywhere.
Yeah, he graduated his undergraduate at 10.
At 10! He's crazy smart. He's so smart that he did not appear to have a Twitter.
He got a master's degree in biochem at age 14. And by 16, he was a TA.
Yes! The kid is brilliant.
PhD at 22.
But I wanted to reach out to him about his game show, but he does not appear to have a Twitter. So I could not get a hold of him.
He has kind of been making money on being on game shows.
Yes.
There's not really much we don't really know much what he does after, based on just a quick dive on his Wikipedia. I don't really know what he does after he gets his PhD.
Yeah, he should be a chaser.
He should.
He should be a chaser.
That legitimately would be, now that we have an American chase, he legitimately should be a chaser.
I mean, I'm going to be real with you guys just for a moment, a little peek behind the scenes. I don't have a lot of notes after this moment because while we were watching this, I tried really hard to try to contact this kid who's not a kid anymore.
He's a couple years older than we are.
Yeah. So
the thing I actually have a note here is Michael gets to be mayor of Santa Barbara for a day if he wins.
Yes.
Mayor Conklin gets, quote, Michael's services for a day if he wins. And I was like, ooh, 1, are we still doing phrasing? 2,
this is why we started doing phrasing.
2, it sounds like either the way the kid interns.
Yeah.
Because, like, you're not going to have him do serious business mayor stuff that day.
Right.
So it's going to be like, okay, you're going to go cut the ribbon at a car dealership or something.
Mm-hmm.
So after this cutaway, a car alarm goes off. Leslie Nielsen goes to investigate it, and we have an entire bit that doesn't make any freaking sense.
No.
He sees the Doc Brown character actor, because this is Universal Studios Hollywood.
Yes.
So just the guy who's paid to walk around and be Doc Brown. And then he wanders into the Wild West stunt show.
Yes.
And does the Buster Keaton bit, where he sits on TNT, sits on the plunger, blows up the set behind him, and it falls through, and Leslie Nielsen's unharmed because the window falls through him.
Yes.
So after this odd cutaway, we see just Jonathan Taylor Thomas laugh and shake his head, like, oh, that wacky Leslie Nielsen.
Well, he actually says something like,
You know, Leslie, those cowboys were only actors.
I know.
So then we get another cyber story.
yes.
And it's focusing on the CGI in the film The Mask, which had been a big summer hit.
Yes, so now it's a little confusing because perhaps this isn't just about video games now.
It's about technology.
It's just about technology. It's like, yeah, we're bringing cartoons to life with The Mask. What? Why? What are we doing? Did you just want to promote this film? Because that's fine, I guess. There was a video game.
But what's odd about The Mask is The Mask was a summer release. So, like, The Mask is pretty much out of the... Update.
Okay.
The Mask returned to theaters a week after the Video Game Awards.
Really?
Yeah, I looked at Box Office Mojo, and its official run seems to end October 2nd. Its release date was July 29th. Again, movies ran longer back then. It had a solid 2-month run. And then it comes back November 11th to 13th, exactly a week later. So this might have been promoting a week-long re-release.
Yeah, maybe it was trying to win an Oscar for special effects.
It could have been trying to win an Oscar for special effects. It could have been trying to drum up a little bit of holiday business.
Maybe.
Ahead of the holiday releases. It could have been trying to edge out another movie to be one of the top 10 movies of the year. Because it does finish number 8 for top grossing movies of 94. Lion King is the top grossing film of the year. Surprise.
Surprise.
So, the next one we get is Best Portable Game.
Yes.
And one of them, I don't know the male, I never got the male presenter. But the female presenter is Sarah Chalk.
Yes.
At the time from Roseanne, but we would know her best as being Elliot from Scrubs.
Yes. Just quick note. She is the second Becky on Roseanne. Do you know this? Because
yes,
this is great, like TV trivia. Is they replaced Becky in Roseanne with the girl who would play Elliot Reed, and then they brought the original Becky back, and then they just decided to like randomly switch who was playing Becky episode to episode.
Yes,
just for fun, and like nobody got it, but Roseanne thought it was funny. So she comes out and she's going to give us Best Portable Game.
The nominees are...
We have Aladdin, and then they show footage of Aladdin Super Nintendo.
Yes.
Wario Land. Home Alone.
And that one looks bad.
It is one of the epically worst video games. Donkey Kong and Link's Awakening. one of the greatest games of all time was recently remastered for the Switch.
So then I fall down a hole. Because I noticed that these are all varying color, and Game Boy Colors are not going to be introduced for another 4 years.
Yes.
All of the footage they take from this is from the Super Game Boy, which is Super Nintendo add-on.
Yes, I kind of had that theory because basically it's a thing you can put Game Boy games into.
Yes.
And then put that into your Super Nintendo.
Which is awesome.
Yes, we own one.
Why am I not surprised? Also, I'm going to set up the SNES later.
Okay.
And play with that. Because
Play
I still have all my Game Boy games.
Yes.
So, I only had portable systems growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I had the Game Gear that we talked about. And then in 1999, I get a Game Boy Color for getting straight A's.
Nice.
I was not allowed to have a sit-down system because my parents were afraid I'd never leave the house again.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in my home is everyone.
Yes, all of them.
Except for the Xbox Series X.
Yes.
Or whatever the new Xbox is, because I'm not an Xbox person.
No, we are not.
So.
The winner is Aladdin. Over Link's Awakening. This could be power of hindsight, but like the argument with Aladdin is which is better, SNES or Sega Genesis, because they are greatly different games.
Yes.
Nobody goes, ep Game Gear. Never.
No.
Never. Oh, because that's the thing that's important is they're all Game Boy games except for Aladdin, which is Game Gear, which is why they probably couldn't get footage, because it's harder to get footage off of a Game Gear.
Yeah.
So they and they already had the Super Nintendo out. So they probably just took footage of Aladdin SNES. Which is sinful. We know how sinful that is.
So, we get another cutaway to another gaming mecca. We go to Sports World outside of New York City. It's up in North Jersey. And this time the host is a 24-year-old Will Arnett.
Will Arnett!
Which I knew going in. So I was kind of just waiting for him.
It blew my mind to see Will Arnett.
Because when I did the preliminary research before we started to watch this, I was like, it can't be the same Will Arnett. And I click on his IMDb thing and I was like, oh my god, it's Will Arnett. I'm not telling Noah.
Yeah, this is like his third project ever. And there's a bunch of screaming children.
Yep.
And he's shouting how to beat various bosses in Double Dragon.
Yes.
And he clearly doesn't know what he's talking about, but he's trying. He's just like...
Now, tonight, I'm going to give you guys and some of our Double Dragon fans a little tip here in playing Double Dragon 5, The Shadow Falls. Okay, now here's the first tip. To finish Billy Lee, you got to use the standing hard punch. That always gets Billy Lee. Now, secondly, to finish the Shadow Master, you have to use the standing hard kick. You know, the Shadow Master can't fight the standing hard kick. And third, to finish the ice pick, you got to use the crouching medium punch. I don't know, this is better than the standing hard kick. The crouching medium punch gets him every time. And that's all I can tell you about tips on Double Dragon 5.
My biggest note is a 24-year-old Will Arnett seems older than in his 40s Will Arnett.
He looks so old. It's so weird. I don't know if it's because he has more hair.
I think because he has this that unflattering slicked back Jersey
Yeah,
look.
What's the matter with you?
And then after he cut his hair, he looks a little bit younger and a little bit more normal. But yeah, it's Will Arnett and that's kind of neat. But he's not Will Arnett yet.
No, not at all.
He's MTV VJ variant Will Arnett.
Yes, it's very strange.
So then the next award is Best Comedy, and this is presented by Charles Fleischer, who is best known as the voice of Roger Rabbit.
Yes.
Roger Rabbit is huge at this point. Roger Rabbit is a strange case because Disney was building up Roger Rabbit to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
If you went to what is now Hollywood Studios and Disney, Roger Rabbit was everywhere.
Yeah.
He was up there with Mickey.
He's huge.
In the Disneyland Fun sing-along video, he does Zippity Doo Dah.
Yeah.
And it's him riding Splash Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
So, Roger Rabbit is huge at this point. Roger Rabbit fades away over time because rights issues.
Well, Roger Rabbit never really does anything else after Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like, there's not, like, Roger Rabbit 2. And, like, there's not, like, a syndicated cartoon about Roger Rabbit. Like, he pops up. But, like, there's never another Roger Rabbit project.
There are some short films that air.
I remember, like... I remember one with him and Baby Huey, or Hugo, I think.
Herman.
Herman.
Tummy Trouble?
Yes, but I almost feel like that was to promote the film.
It was released with Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yes, I remember watching
And it was the year after. It might have been to promote Roger Rabbit being on VHS. There's also Roller Coaster Rabbit, which airs with Dick Tracy in 1990. And Trail Mix-Up, which was released with A Far Off Place in 1993.
That makes a lot of sense because for some reason I've always tied Roger Rabbit and Dick Tracy together in my brain.
Yes.
And I never knew why.
Because Roller Coaster Rabbit was with Dick Tracy. And actually, there were posters in movie theaters promoting Roller Coaster Rabbit. Like...
Huh.
You know, it's a special added short attraction playing exclusively with Dick Tracy. So it actually had these shorts had dedicated posters, because Disney did this in the early 90s. It's where we get the infamous Runaway Brain cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And they stopped for a while in like the mid 90s up through the early 2010s, and then we start to see these shorts come back.
Right.
Pixar always does them.
Yes, Pixar's
but
has
Disney,
incredible ones.
Disney kind of comes and goes on doing them. Because they started doing them again with Get a Horse.
Yes, Get a Horse is really good.
Get a Horse is one of the few like good uses of CG 3D.
Yes.
And this is Facts About Roger Rabbit.
Yes. That being said, I hate this man.
He does time not well.
Because what he's doing is stand up at a video game thing, which is the thing I do.
Oh, no.
And he does it poorly. Like, his first joke is like...
Since this is Cybermania, I would now like to do a joke in the digital format, that, of course, being binary, the language that all these devices function in. And to make it slightly risque, it's going to be a dirty joke. 101, 111, 101, 111. Oh, 111, 111, oh.
I hate this because I call that, guys, it's time for a Noah rant.
I call that ranting.
I call that a page one joke. When I sit down to write jokes, I always throw away page one because page one is the easy, obvious, not gonna do well crap. It was like, video games, technology, binary, I'll yell ones and zeros. Of course you will. All you're doing is showing that you don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
So when he opens with that, I'm like, oh, this guy. He better not be up here long. And then he's up there long. I'm just like, I hate everything about this guy. And then he starts being upset that the Palm Pilot doesn't actually work. It has a sticker on it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't care, dude. Like, all you're doing is stopping me from getting the thing that I'm watching this for.
Yes.
I hate you.
And he's supposed to be presenting an award.
Yes. I hated it.
So then we get the nominees for Best Comedy.
Oh my God. These are the nominees for the Best Comedy Game. I'm Your Man. I have no idea what that is.
I have the note of it's an interactive movie.
That's news to me. I don't know what that is either. I think that's just one of those video games that existed in the 90s on a CD-ROM that was mostly just collections of short videos that you pretended was a game. Like, it was a point-and-click non-adventure.
Yes.
The Wacky World of Miniature Golf with Eugene Levy. Epically terrible game.
If you want Noah to stream it on Twitch, let us know in the comments.
I don't think you're going to. It is an epically terrible game on the Philips CDI. Then Bugs Bunny's Rabbit Rampage, which is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah?
It is a Super Nintendo game that, like, I did a whole podcast, I'll link to it, about what the funniest video game of all time is.
Okay.
And one of the first thing I say is, we have to disqualify all point-and-click adventures. Because that's just funny writing. What makes a funny video game is really hard to do.
Yes.
Bugs Bunny's Rabbit Rampage does it. The mechanics of how to play are funny.
Cool.
So, because, like, here's a brief example. The first level's in the snow, and the boss is Elmer Fudd. And you have to, like, go through the woods because it's rabbit season. You know, kind of like a classic joke. You then get to the next level, 1-2. As you're standing there, a bullet is shot, and it runs into the title screen and jumbles the number, and now you're in 2-1. And then all of a sudden it's cowboy themed.
Oh, that's so cool.
I was like, oh, that's brilliant. And then, like, every level has different power-ups you can pick up that, like, make sense for that world. Like, when you do the bullfighting, you can grab anvils and do the, like, the Matador Olay, and it runs into an anvil. But that's not available in the next level because the next level has wind-up tanks to blow up Marvin the Martian. It's so well done. And it's one of those games where, like, you'll be walking around and all of a sudden the animator will draw an extra bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, it's great meta humor ahead of its time on the Super Nintendo. There's also dating and, I don't know, it's ripped here. Do you have what the other game was? Dating something?
I have dating and mating.
Dating and mating, which is another, like, CGI or CGI. Yeah, CDI collection of short videos because YouTube doesn't exist yet. And the winner is the Wacky World of Miniature Golf. If you don't know what that is, watch the Game Grumps play it. They did 2 episodes of it, and it's the most frustrating thing ever because it's not a game.
Okay.
It is a video with, like, you can see sort of like miniature golf stuff, like a windmill going around. And then you have to choose when you hit the X button for you to swing to go through the windmill. There's only one moment where you get through. And if you're not pressing the X button at that time, you get a video of a ball rolling, hitting the windmill, and rolling back. And it's that for 18 holes. It's not always a windmill, but it's a frustrating...
It's 18 very narrow QuickTime events.
Yeah, QuickTime events where you don't know when you're supposed to hit the button, and all it's happening is it's delaying your ability to see the next cutscene.
Yes.
Which is your ball rolling towards a hole. And it wins! And Eugene Levy's not even there!
I mean, if you think this award show isn't rigged...
People got to vote on Prodigy.
Okay, honey. Then we get an ad break that I took notes on.
Oh, all right.
We get the Double Dragon ad. And then somewhere, I wonder if there was a time where it crossed Watershed or something? Because we start getting heavy advertising for Double Dragon.
Yes. Which, I love that movie. And it's not good. This is also where I turn to you and go, what the heck is Earth 2? Earth 2 is an NBC show that ran 1 season, but is really, really long.
Yes.
So we will probably never do it unless there is high demand for it. And don't just demand it because I said it just now. Actually really want it.
We also get one of the old Cartoon Network Super Chunk ads.
Oh, yes.
Which made me really happy. Because I loved Cartoon Network. And the Super Chunk ad just made me really happy. Because it was just a thing I had not seen in so long. Because it was like the early, like, call your cable provider and ask for Cartoon Network
Yes, because I did not get Cartoon Network until very late.
I got it in late elementary school. I feel like I got it in like 3rd or 4th grade.
I think it was much later for me.
So then we get back and Al Gore wrote a letter. I don't have the content of the letter. It's very much the Al Gore invented the internet.
Yes, that happens. We also get another moment where Leslie Nielsen is talking and jugglers come out and juggle, and the jugglers suck.
Yes.
They're just like dropping stuff and not being good jugglers.
I think they're supposed to.
You think they're supposed to be bad jugglers?
Yes.
I don't think that's a good career
Because I think
move
the
on those jugglers.
I think the bit here is that Leslie Nielsen is doing deadpan Leslie Nielsen things while chaos happens behind him.
Yes. I'd imagine that the juggling should still be good. There shouldn't be moments where stuff gets dropped and then people make a big all shucks motion.
Best art and graphics.
Yes, best art and graphics.
The nominees are Mist.
Mist, that makes sense.
Toonland.
That's just cartoons.
Ocean Life.
That's just actual pictures of fish.
Space, a visual history.
That's just actual pictures and videos of space.
Macworld Interactive.
It's just a bunch of videos.
The winner is, mercifully, Mist.
Good. Like, I was like, yeah, the graphics are better, but they were up against photos.
And then we get the Governor's Achievement Award for VR, which goes to iWorks Entertainment.
Yes.
And then we get a cutaway where they discuss that Doom is leading on Prodigy, but Mortal Kombat's leading on the 900 number.
Yeah.
We go to an Orlando, Florida arcade, and we have a female presenter whose name I do not catch.
I don't catch... It's so loud.
Yes.
It is so loud at this one.
And she provides a clue to Ren and Stimpy's game, which would not be released for another week.
Yes. Ren and Stimpy's... Oh, what is it called? It's like Stupidity or it's a game I've played.
The Ren and Stimpy show, Time Warp?
Time Warp? Maybe it was Time Warp. But, like, I remember playing it, and it was... Like, you went into Ren's mouth? No, Stimpy's mouth.
Time Warp lines up with the timeline.
Yeah.
Because that has a release date of November 94.
Like, and you had to throw the helmet, the Happy Happy Joy Joy helmet onto Ren and stuff like that. She gives out a clue for, like, level 4, which I think is the last level.
Oh my god.
So, like, it's so strange to just kind of think, like, imagine if, like, before Last of Us Part 2 came out, there was an award show giving hints on how to beat the last boss, which meant they said who the last boss was out loud. Like, think about that. That's insanity. I also want to point out how terrible this girl is, because she does this weird thing where she asks, who do you think's going to win best game? And then says, what's your name? It's like, that is not the order of operations. And then my absolute favorite, she goes, who do you think's going to win best game? And the kid just goes, me!
Because you asked an 11-year-old.
And he's like, you think you're going to win? And then the kid, like, panics and shrugs.
Then we get 2 cyber stories back to back.
Yes.
The first one's about Aerosmith.
Oh, was the first one Aerosmith?
Oh, no, excuse me. The first one is about hackers.
Yes! They actually...
And it's so long.
They actually have the real Zero Cool. They actually have Zero the Hacker, who's dressed like the people from Hackers.
I do have a note that the movie Hackers is actively filming during this.
It's insane. But, like, this is also at peak technophobia of hackers.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody knew what hackers were yet.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, they can just go into banks and, like, rob...
And steal all your
money and disappear. You know, like, think anonymous, but everyone believes that they can do anything.
Yeah.
And they dress like they're in the Matrix.
And they dress like Johnny Lee Miller and Angelina Jolie in the movie Hackers.
In the movie Hackers, before the movie Hackers comes out. Like, we used to make fun of Hackers so much because it's like how unrealistic it is.
Yeah.
But if their only research was the video game awards of Cybermania 94, I would totally understand.
And again, I think this goes right back in line with the entire aesthetic of the show of the 90s were more 90s than we thought they were. Because I think that flies in the face of the 80s. Because I feel like we're always finding out the 80s were less 80s than we thought they were.
Yeah.
Because I think about Stranger Things a lot with that. Stranger Things is a relatively realistic version of the 80s as compared to other versions where everybody is over the top, crunchy hair, neon makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody looks like that in versions of the 80s.
I also looked into one of the hackers.
Yeah?
Death Vegetable, or Vegstilla. Still an active hacker.
Good for them.
They have their own, like, weird hacking website. It was called, like, YouCow or something. And if you go to it, he's trying to recreate, like, 80s internet. So it's all, like, black screen, green text.
Oh, that's fun.
It was very silly. So that's the hackers thing. Now we're on to Aerosmith.
Yeah, it's a feature on Aerosmith being pioneers of, like, the virtual genre.
Yes.
And I'm realizing that Aerosmith at this point is at peak, we'll put our names on anything.
Yes. But we won't show up for Cybermania. At least Steven Tyler won't. We'll send one guy.
Yeah, it's like the drummer, and it's still a video package.
It's still a video package. He's not actually there. And they're talking about how revolutionary Revolution X is. You know anything about Revolution X?
I do not off the top of my head.
Revolution X is a game where you fire CDs at bad guys. It is famous because it is one of the first games to get caught being rigged.
Oh.
Your character will take damage even if nothing hits you, so you have to put more quarters in because it's an arcade game. But it's cutting edge here at Cybermania 94. Some things don't age well.
Yeah, I mean, this is a couple years before Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yes.
Rock and Roller Coaster's announced about 3.5 years after this. The nominees for Best Musical.
Best music? Like, what are we doing now?
No idea. Explorer by Peter Gabriel. Video Jam. The artist formerly known as Prince, The Game.
Yes, which they put the symbol up for.
Yes.
Which I thought was fun.
Freak Show, The Residents. And Uptown Blues. I did a little research.
Oh, thank God, because I was like, I don't know what any of this is supposed to be.
The Prince game was never going to win in this mass market, all ages show. The Prince game is the horniest game that may have ever existed in this time period.
Yeah, I remember thinking as I was watching this, like, I want to do a stream of every single one of these games, but I don't think I could do the Prince game.
You probably can, because it's still 1990 standards. It wasn't like an NC. This wasn't like an AO or M game.
Well, I mean, this is like 1994 is when the ESRB is formed, I believe.
I think the ESRB is in reaction to Night Trap, which was put out in 92.
I thought it was in that and Mortal Kombat, which is up for Game of the Year.
The ESRB forms in September 94.
I almost think there's a cyber story about it. I think we actually do get a little bit of like, yeah, there's ratings now. I don't have it in my notes.
But yeah, I found someone who had found the artist formerly known as Prince the Game, which also is the shorthand name Prince Interactive.
Okay.
It's an adventure puzzle game. Mashable found it. And they did an article called "We Found a Copy of Prince's 1994 Video Game. You're Welcome.
Ooh.
It's a point-and-click adventure. It has a little bit of, there's a little bit of skin. Here is a Mashable quote. It's unapologetically weird, aggressively sexual, and steeped in the psychedelic future funk vibe that defined the Purple One's 90s heyday.
Excellent.
So it is out of print and apparently difficult to find. Mashable article had to run it on an old laptop that still had XP.
Yeah, like there's a lot of... I'd love to just stream like old 90s computer games, but like they just won't run anymore.
Yeah.
And the things they will run on, it's really hard to stream on. So...
Yeah.
That being said, I do kind of remember like getting CDs and CD-ROMs and then finding music on it.
Yes, that used to be a big thing with PlayStation games too. PlayStation 1.
That was very, very common with PlayStation games. But I remember distinctly, like, I had this big stack of just CDs because my parents didn't really understand video games. So they're like, we found this thing of like 20 CD-ROMs for $1. And like they all had demos on them. But I remember I put in my Windows 95 CD-ROM just to see if there was like anything else in it. And there was a video game on it that was like Capture the Flag with cars. Mm-hmm. And the music video to Buddy Holly by Weezer.
Oh my God.
And that's how I discovered Weezer. I was like, this is great. I love Happy Days. So like, this at the time is becoming a very like, they're trying to figure out how CD-ROMs and music can work together, and they never really figure it out. But they do give an award to Peter Gabriel.
Yes. We also then check in on the SimCity pair.
Yes.
And I am affronted because no one has sicked Godzilla on their city.
No, not once.
That was the fun of SimCity. Like, OG SimCity was like making your little city and then having multiple natural disasters happen.
Oh no, there's aliens and plagues.
And mostly Godzilla.
Godzilla and locusts.
So, there's an ad. I write about the ad breaks again. There's a TNT TV movie called In Search of Dr. Seuss that I think I wrote down because it's a possible bonus episode later.
I've seen it. It's great.
I would like to see it.
It's legitimately great.
So and it's all on YouTube, so I thought that was a potential future bonus episode, so I think that's why I wrote it down. And then we get an ad for NFL 95 that is like, we stole Troy Aikman's brain.
Yes.
And it's really just unnerving. And we talked about this in our last bonus episode about, hey, remember that commercial? Mm-hmm. About how video game ads used to be just uniquely disturbing for some reason.
Yeah.
And this one's no exception.
Mm-hmm.
This is not one we talked about on the podcast, but this just falls right in line with those.
Yeah. And like in the 90s, there's a lot of like gross out humor.
Yes.
Like, oh, the chance to show like a brain in a jar? Perfect.
Mm-hmm. So then Leslie Nielsen brings out two people from Pricewaterhouse. Pricewaterhouse is the statistics firm behind every major award show. Mm-hmm. I almost feel like he does this to make it look legitimate.
That makes sense.
Because this is before their Price Cooper Waterhouse and they get in trouble with the La La Land Moonlight incident.
Yeah.
So this is back when there's a lot more legitimacy to them.
Yes.
And then we get Best Interactive Simulation Strategy Game.
Yeah.
The nominees are SimCity.
Yeah, which has the word sim in the title.
Dune 2.
Dune, yeah.
Flight Simulator 5.
That's still around.
Castles 2 Siege and Conquest.
No, don't know what that is.
And Forever Growing Garden.
Oh yeah. I have to include the quote for Forever Growing Garden. The fast-paced, cutthroat world of gardening. Oh. Wow. You know all the people who are cutting people's fingers off with garden shears so that they can make their pumpkins grow a little bit better. SimCity wins.
Yes.
Which makes sense.
And then we get another presentation of a special award that Shelley Duvall presents in a colossal flower crown. Like, very Gen Z 2 years ago at Coachella.
Yes.
And she does a featurette on, we get a cyber story on internet in education. And there's 2 winners. There is an interactive book called Ruff's Bone, which looks a lot like computer games interactive books that you grew up with.
Yeah.
And the other is a weird addiction stories program called Addiction and Its Processes, where I guess you click on a kid's face and they tell you their horrifying addiction story.
Yes!
I finally found myself at the age of 17. I was hooked, addicted to drugs, to heroin, to cocaine or LSD.
And finally, all I had to do was raise my hand and say, "Hi, I'm an alcoholic and I need help."
Unbelievable. And my guess was they didn't want to have people lose at this. Like, they didn't want to bring on educational games and then show them losing. But all it does is just fail to spotlight other things. So it's weird that they're just like, we're going to give out 2 awards to these 2 people and there's not nominees.
Yes. So we then get an update. Doom is in the lead on Prodigy, and the 900 line is tied between NBA Jam and Mortal Kombat.
Vote now.
And then we get another ad for Double Dragon where they call it 2007 instead of 2007.
Yeah, it's
just a thing I noticed. And we get a featurette on computer game creation.
Yes. Let's show you how games are made. And then the camera moves and goes negative because we're entering video games.
Yes.
We are then not told how games are made.
Nope. Then we get Best Interactive Sports Video Game.
Yeah.
And we get an awkward football sketch, and the ball that was clearly supposed to be on the podium is missing. Like, there was clearly supposed to be a preset ball.
Yeah.
Because they keep going, where's the football?
Yeah, where's the football?
And
Where's the
visibly
football?
being confused. The nominees are...
Well, they also make the THX sound, which makes me hate them.
Yes.
Marla, you know, Leslie forgot to tell the audience that today's show is being powered by THX Sound.
The nominees are NBA Jam.
Hey, that's up for best game overall.
FIFA Soccer.
That's still around.
NHL 94.
All right, that makes sense.
Ken Griffey Jr. presents Major League Baseball.
All right, there, the baseball game.
Caesar's World of Boxing.
It's a boxing game presented by a series of casinos?
Sports Illustrated Multimedia Almanac 94.
What?
QB1.
Okay, because you're a quarterback. Okay.
Great Day at the Races.
Great. That's about horse betting. That's not a sport.
And the winner is...
Caesar's World of Boxing.
Again, I'm pretty sure... I think there's a legitimacy possibly to Game of the Year, but I think the rest of these are payoffs.
I don't think so, just because all you're doing is making yourself look bad. Because it's kind of implying you didn't nominate the right games for Game of the Year. Because your Game of the Year's nominees keep losing.
Fair enough.
It's so weird.
The guy who accepts the award for Caesar's World of Boxing looks like the guy who should be shutting down a scrappy little award show.
Yes.
He's the villain in an 80s or 90s kids movie who's shutting down the community center.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, we get 2 champions squaring off at WCW Super Brawl. Lord Steven Regal and Flying Brian Pillman.
Yes, indeed.
I love... Next note, Regal. Heart, heart, heart.
Yes.
Because I love William Regal. And this is William Regal. He was just under the ring name Lord Steven Regal at this time.
Yeah, that's who he goes by in WCW.
Yes.
So many problems. Let me list some problems for you.
Sure.
This is yet another bit where Leslie Nielsen is talking and chaos is breaking out behind them because Brian and William Regal are fighting over the video game they're playing, which is not visible in the shot.
Right.
Second, if you wanted to maintain viewers from WCW Saturday Night, why is this so late in the show?
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
My only thought is during that episode of WCW Saturday Night, they might have mentioned that William Regal and Brian Pillman were going to be there.
Yeah.
And they didn't want it to happen too early. So they were like, so the idea of people being like, I'm going to keep watching until I see what Regal does.
That's an interesting thing this show is missing. Most other award shows have coming up.
Yeah. None
Lord
of that.
Steven Regal and Flying Brian Pillman. Coming up, Lark Voorhees. Like, they don't have who the upcoming presenters are going to be that would make people excited.
Yeah, that kept people watching when they went to commercial. So they start fighting, and then some little people come out and start fighting.
Yes.
And as we learn from Botchamania / Regal's book, this is supposed to end with Leslie Nielsen firing a gun to get them to stop.
Yeah.
They add the gunshot in post, but it doesn't go off live.
Right.
So you could tell that they're like, well, there wasn't a gunshot, so do we keep going?
And then it ends with Nielsen... Well, during this whole thing, Nielsen is doing a monologue about violence in gaming. To mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Yes!
And at the end, he menaces off Pillman and Regal with the gun.
Yeah. It's an okay bit.
So then, Robert Culp and an actress whose name I do not catch present Best Voiceover Actress.
Yes. And the first thing we hear is, do I start or do you? Who starts? Very professional. Sounds great.
The nominees are Grace Zabriskie, Voyeur, which is the game Robert Culp is also in.
Yes.
Eileen Weisinger, Critical Path. Tanya Kaiser, Man Enough. And Virginia Caper for Gabriel Knight.
So I guess it's important to really understand is there's very few voiceover in video games yet.
Right.
We're not in the Kingdom Hearts era where we can give awards to Mandy Moore for being Aeris. We're in this era where if there is voice acting, you also see the person and it's a VG... What is that? Not VGA. VF...
FMV.
FMV.
Full motion video.
Yeah. So those are the people who are being nominated here.
The winner is Grace Zabriskie from Voyeur.
Voyeur is a terrible game, which is like Rear Window, where like you are in your apartment and you're using a telescope to spy on your neighbors until you get enough information that you can call the police with enough evidence to put someone in prison.
Yeah, it's like Rear Window.
It's barely a game, but it's a winner.
Best male actor is the girl who plays Jenna from Blossom and an older man whose name I do not catch. But I actually have the note here of like the presenters are very weirdly matched and this is kind of creepy.
Yes.
Because she's very young looking and he's very old looking.
Mm-hmm.
The nominees are Robert Culp, Voyeur.
Yeah, we know he's there. I wonder if he'll win.
Leonard Nimoy, Star Trek 25th Anniversary.
Oh no, he's up against a real actor, so he'll lose.
Tim Curry, Gabriel Knight.
Oh, Tim Curry is one of the greatest video game actors of all time. Space!
He's one of the greatest voice actors of all time.
Yes, indeed.
Smashing. And Christian Eriksen, Mega Race. Weirdly, the winner is Robert Culp, the guy who's there.
Yes. Remember how I said way back at the beginning of this podcast that the people who accept awards don't do speeches? Robert Culp has decided to take everyone's unused time and deliver a monologue about the beauty of his work.
Yeah.
Dude? No. Stop. You are very much not Leonard Nimoy. And I'm grumpy about that.
I would have settled for 90s Tim Curry. 90s Tim Curry is never settling.
Oh, did you mention that Mickey Rooney was also up for an award? Was nominated for this for Day at the Races?
I did not have him for some reason.
Yeah.
I think I got distracted.
Mickey Rooney's up for an award here.
You know what happened? I looked up the plot of Gabriel Knight because I was like, what game was Tim Curry in?
Could you imagine all these people being in the same room and forming a tight-knit group of celebrities that leaves out Robert Culp because who is he?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So, I next have the note of Entertainment Weekly called this surreal. We get the end of The Sim City.
Oh, the big reveal. Who wins? Who's a better city planner according to Sim City? It's time for the big reveal. Mike won.
Yeah.
That's That's it. There's no, like, banner. They don't show, like, scores.
No.
That would imply...
Or how it was judged.
What happened, or footage, or tell the story of why he won. It's just like, yeah, this is a thing that happened over there that no one else saw. Are you excited?
So then we start to wind down the show. We get a cool ad for... There was apparently a game piece with Double Dragon that you could, like, pick up at a Sam Goody. So if you had certain pictures... You won certain prizes.
Yeah, it was just like...
I was like, oh, I missed this crap.
Yeah, you had to go to Sam Goody and buy something, and then you got your game piece, and hopefully your image was what showed up, and you got to see Double Dragon.
There was 4 different ones. I just don't have what they all were because it was too fast.
It was really quick.
So, there's some other ads. We get, like, ads for Super Return of the Jedi and the Indiana Jones game, which I'm like, oh, these look really good.
My favorite was the ad for the Casio watch.
Yes.
Because it was an exciting time where we had learned the technology of how to make a watch light up.
Yeah.
And that was very special. And if you bought one, you got a $5 rebate on the film Speed.
Oh my god.
Incredible.
So, we get that, and then we get the announcement of Game of the Year.
Yes.
And it is Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat wins.
Mortal Kombat!
A game that was not up for any other awards.
Because it was not like a fighting game.
Really? Because Street Fighter 2 is up for Best Action Game.
Well, I'm saying there wasn't a fighting game category, which I think is interesting.
They nominated like 10 games for Action Game. And did not nominate Mortal Kombat, but they did nominate Street Fighter 2, Return to Zork, and Jump Raven.
Yes.
And then Mortal Kombat wins Game of the Year.
Yep.
This is so stupid.
And then the show closes on Leslie Nielsen telling a cheap joystick joke in front of a 13-year-old boy.
Yep.
Who immediately goes, well, that's awkward.
Yes. It is a page 1 joke. Playing with your joystick. Like, every kid has made that joke playing a video game.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe not anymore, because we don't use the term joystick anymore.
Right.
I don't know how much we were using the word joystick at this point. I mean, arcades are still popular, but most people would be saying controller.
Yeah.
And then the credits happen.
Yep.
Guys, I'm still not over this. In the credits is the name Jeff Keighley.
Yes.
You know him as the host of every video game thing ever after G4 shut down. Hell, he was on G4. Jeff Keighley is listed as a consultant, or I want to say producer, but that seems insane.
Jeff Keighley is billed as the interactive product specialist.
I lose my mind.
Kid who knows what a video game is, who must have been like a consultant.
Because first thing I yell is, gotta be a different person. And then you show me a picture of like how it started, how it's going. And it's from Jeff Keighley's Twitter of him putting a picture of Cybermania 99. I was like, no, that doesn't make sense. He would have had to have been 16. He was 14! I cannot believe this.
Yep.
He's been doing the video game awards his entire life.
Yeah. It's him.
Oh my god, it was baffling. I had to get up and walk around. I almost had to get up and walk around now talking about it because it blows my mind that it's the same Jeff Keighley.
Yep.
Anyway, that's the end of the show.
Yep.
Any fun research that we didn't get to that you wanted to bring up?
No, I was pretty much kind of putting it in as we spoke.
Yeah, I don't think we had anything kind of hidden away. I don't have the code to unlock Akuma, so if that's what you were hoping for, out of this podcast. I'm sorry I don't have that at the ready. So then I would say it is verdict time.
Obviously, the Video Game Awards have returned in another way, but with this format, I would have to say it's a stay doomed.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's confusing. It is... the audience is unclear. The format is unclear. Video game, they kind of go all the way out into all of these different things. When they're talking about video game mechas, I almost think they would have been better off having an Xavier Woods Goes to the Arcade type walkthrough.
Yeah.
Where they do it before this place opens, and you have Will Arnett walking you through and going like, this is what an arcade is. This is where your kids are spending all your money, adults.
It's so baffling to me that they have so little gameplay footage and they don't throw up text that says the code.
Yeah.
Because, like, this is 1994. There's a good chance people are taping this on VHS. I would like to be able to pause it and write down that code.
Yeah.
Because you know what's not happening? People sitting there with the game up.
Yeah.
On one TV and watching this on another, being like, how do I beat this Double Dragon guy? Let me watch this scene. Let me listen to Will Arnett in New Jersey scream over an arcade. It's just, it screams people in suits going, video games are popular, right? Let's make that money.
Yes.
It's a stay tuned.
Yes.
Unbelievable. So that's going to do it for Cybermania 94. What are we watching next week?
We are watching the 2021 reboot of Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yes, as voted by our lovely patrons.
Yep, and we will also listen to Noah be grumpy about not being able to be on the 2021 reboot of Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yeah, I'm especially grumpy nowadays about Legends of the Hidden Temple and my lack of involvement.
And to find out why, you'll have to listen next week.
Yes. So thank you so much for listening or watching, if you're watching on YouTube, to this edition of Stay Doomed. Where can people find us?
You can email us at thestaydoomedshow@gmail.com or on Facebook and Twitter at Stay Doomed.
And if you think that you can beat a mayor at SimCity, I'm at +2 Comedy.
If you're pretty sure that your dream job at 14 was telling adults how to talk about video games in a how do you do fellow kids type way, I'm at Bean Bunny Lives. Until next time, stay doomed.